Hello and welcome back to Mystery of Israel Radio, the program that focuses on why the second coming of Jesus is centered around the nation of Israel and more specifically the city of Jerusalem. How is the Jerusalem question tied into the Jesus question? If you've been following along, you'll know that for several weeks we've been in Daniel chapter 9. And we've spent a lot of time on the prayer of Daniel, the covenantal foundations of that prayer, why Daniel, as a man who meditated on the law day and night, would pray a prayer like that based on the things that are written in the books of Moses and the prophets. And so now we're ready to move into the answer of that prayer. So we'll begin in verse 19. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do. Defer not for thine own sake, O my God, for thy city and for thy people are called by thy name. And whiles I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God, for the holy mountain of my God. Yea, whiles I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, in chapter 8, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. So again, Daniel is a man whose whole life revolves around the things that are written in this word. And even though there is no temple in Jerusalem, it has been destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar 70 years before. He gives us as the time frame for the answer to his prayer the time of the evening oblation. An evening oblation that wasn't even taking place on the earth. But this is Daniel's mindset. And so here is what Gabriel says to him, and it starts in verse 23, and it's fairly short. The end of the chapter is verse 27. So I'm going to read these few verses, and then we'll see if we can break it down a little bit and try to make it understandable. And he informed me, verse 22, and talked with me, and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter, and consider the vision. 77s are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment or the word to restore and to build Jerusalem unto Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 sevens shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 7. And in the midst of the 7 he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Verse 24 says, 77s are decreed upon your people and upon your holy city. And this 77s is broken into 3 distinct time periods: 7 sevens, 62 sevens, and a 7, making up 77s. So first of all, let's remember that Daniel has been in captivity for 70 years. And God has promised that at the end of 70 years, that Israel would be restored, that Jerusalem would again become the focal point of Israel, that the temple would be rebuilt. And so this vision is adding some new information. It agrees with the earlier prophets like Jeremiah that said Jerusalem will be restored, but shockingly, it has another destruction of Jerusalem in view. But it also has some good news baked into it. It presents us with a timeline for an anointed one to come and accomplish some things. Let's break this down a little bit. It says in verse 25, "Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment," or the word, "to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah," or an anointed one. But the word Messiah, every time it's used, it is a very special word that refers to either the king or the priests of Israel, the one that God has anointed to lead and guide Israel. And so it is not out of line for a version like the King James to assume that this is a very special anointed one, the Messiah, the anointed one. From the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah shall be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. 7 sevens and 62 sevens. Those who interpret these verses see this as these sevens as years. So when it says 7 sevens, it's talking about 7 times 7 years, or 49 years. And when it says 62 sevens, it's 62 times 7 years, which is 434 years. So 49 years plus 434 years is 483 years. So after 483 years, and we'll talk about the separation of that in a few minutes. After 483 years, this time of promise, when Israel will be restored to ruling the nations, as all the prophets have foretold. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And my view on this is that is referring to the 7 sevens, that from the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the street being built again and the wall, even in troublous times, shall be 7 sevens. And after 62 sevens shall this anointed one, this one who is going to restore the promises to Israel, shall be cut off, but not for himself, or will be cut off and will have nothing. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Well, where is the promise of this anointed one restoring the kingdom to Israel? How is it that Messiah is going to come and yet not fix all the problems that are facing Israel? and not restore God's right place in the nation and make Israel again the joy of the whole earth. But this lines up with what we've learned about this Messiah from Isaiah 53. And Isaiah, who preceded Daniel by at least 150 years, says in Isaiah 53, "Who has believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form or comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men." Isaiah 49 says, "and abhorred by the nation." Despised and rejected of men, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we, like sheep, have gone astray, and we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. Verse 8, this is the one that ties in with Daniel chapter 9. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off. Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. He was cut off out of the land of the living for the transgression of my people. The transgression of my people was he stricken. After 62 sevens, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. Let's make this Messiah, this one whose name we now know to be Jesus, Jesus, God's Messiah, Jesus Christ, the one we despised, the one who has borne our griefs, carried our sorrows, wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. Let's make him the focus of our meditations this week. Until next time, this is Mystery of Israel Radio.